Hi everyone, so I wanted to show you how I turned this box frame into a little miniature sort of home setup in a tree. So first of all what I did was took this tray. This is like a square tray that I ordered online. It's the one I used for the Zen garden tutorial. I haven't used that for ages, so I've decided to turn it into something else. So first of all what you need to do is coat the entire thing in a decent layer of PVA glue. I did put a bit too much glue on here, but it doesn't matter. It's best to have too much than not enough. And then what you need to do is take some, I find a sheet of paper towel does the trick, and what I do is I separate the two plies so it's just one layer, and then apply another layer of glue over the top. And then smooth down all the glue and make sure that all the tissue is covered. And here I'm just scraping off the excess glue into my little cup. And make sure you go all around the edges as well. And what I also did was I used scrunched up tissue paper to go all the way around the edges to create like a sort of woody border, which you'll see later on in the video. To make the teeny tiny furniture I used card, and what I did was, like for the example, this is the fridge, so I cut out two rectangles and then put two narrow strips on the one rectangle like so for the sides, and then stuck the second rectangle on top, and that gave the basic shape. Basically it's just a case of making boxes. Then I put a top on and a bottom, and then once that's all trimmed and level, the next job is to take a piece of cardboard roughly the same height and width of the fridge, cut it into two pieces to represent the fridge door and the freezer door, and stick it in place like so. And then I used two very teeny dots of glue to create handles, and that's how I made the little fridge. And all the furniture's made in exactly the same way that I put here. So there's the little fridge and cupboard. I've made a dining table and also did a couple of beds. It doesn't show up very well at this stage because obviously nothing's painted. But as you can see, for this little cupboard, it's just a case of making a box, putting a fake door on it, and then gluing it into place. And as you can see, I've used the tissue paper quite thickly all around the edges to create sort of thick woody areas around the frame. I wanted it to look like this was inside of a tree. Then I painted it brown, and it came out of a bit of a funny cut brown colour. I've actually run out of the brown paint I normally use, so I've had to mix some, and sometimes my colour mixing is a bit off. But I do fix that later on. Then I painted the furniture black because obviously I wanted a bit of contrast and wanted it to stand out from the background colour, because obviously when I did the background colour I just painted everything brown, furniture and everything. It's just easier than trying to paint round stuff, and then it's just a case of going over things in the colour you actually want them to be. But because it was bare cardboard, it doesn't matter, it kind of works as like a sort of base coat as it were. And I cut out little rectangles of cardboard about 1 centimetre long and half a centimetre wide, and that's how I made those little staircases. I'm thinking later on what I might do is put like a little rail going up to make it look like there's like a banister to it, but for now I just left it as sort of steps built into the wood so that the people who live there can get from one floor to another. And I just painted the bed and the little the little cupboard and everything as well. And then my first idea to do the picture frames was to just go over them with black paint around the edges to make it look like the frames, but I did actually in the end cut out some very thin pieces of card to create frames over the top. I wasn't 100% happy with how it turned out with just painting the frame on. And then It's just a case of creating some little mini artworks in the middle of the frames. At this stage I'm just painting like a base coat of a different colour on, just to make them stand out from the background a bit. And you'll see as the video goes on, I go over them a few times because I'm not sure how I want them to be, and in the end I made it so it's like kind of little miniature portraits, but obviously, you know, just dots here and there to represent the figures, not actually, you know, drawn in any detail at this scale. And here I'm just having a go at doing some mini paintings, just having to think about how I'd want them to be, what I'd want them to look like, but I did change all this in the end. It was me just thinking about, well, what would the pictures be like, and in the end I stuck with sort of family portrait theme, which I did change at the end. And I added a bit of blue here and there on some of them, and as you can see, as I'm going on, I'm adding little bits of light and dark colours. It's starting to look a bit more like mini paintings, and I just kept working on it and tweaking it until I was happy with them. It took me a while to do this, and I wasn't sure what I was going for with them. That one there I've decided is a painting of a tree in that one bedroom, and the others are family portraits on the walls. And then I did dry brush the furniture, and I went over the furniture a couple of times, but I did dry brush the furniture again. I wanted it to stand out, but I also wanted to be able to show the texture of the wood and everything. And then once everything was dry, I took this fake moss stuff I've got and stuck it in random areas like so. And as you can see, what I've done for the furniture is painted it black and dry brushed it with a lighter colour. And for the frames, I actually cut out extra pieces of card for the little pictures and then painted those as well black and then dry brushed them. And then as you can see here, I'm adding hot glue and then sprinkling on the fake moss stuff. It's I think it's supposed to be like a fake grass type stuff. I got it from the model making section at the art shop absolutely ages ago. Then to make the little bed covers, all I did was I cut out a rectangle of fabric, folded it over and glued it, cut it to size and stuck it on as the blanket. For the pillows, I took a thin strip about 1/2 centimetre wide, and as I rolled it up, I glued it to itself so it would stay rolled up, and then cut it to size and use that as the pillows. And then this was the trickiest bit, was getting this tablecloth right. So what I ended up doing was taking the table off, getting a square piece of fabric that I stuck on diagonally, and then folding over the corners and gluing them in place. And then I glued the table back in position because I found it too awkward to try and do it in place. And then I wanted to make it look like they'd got some food, and I've got these very tiny little polystyrene balls that are coloured from another miniature set. They're coloured orange and green, and they pass as apples in this scale, so I use them as apples. So I'm pretending that the people who live here have been busy eating some fruit. And then I wanted to make some very teeny weeny books, so I just got some paper, folded it up, glued it, folded it, glued it, and folded it as small and as thin as I could, and then cut off a very small piece, and that makes a tiny book, like so. And I made one to go in the kitchen, so that could be like the cookbook, the recipe book that the person's using. And I did add another book on top of the one in the bedroom. And then just to colour those, because I'm not going to worry about pictures or anything at that scale, I just put a little wash of colour over and wiped it off with my finger, and that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.